So it is 11 a.m. and we are going to go ahead and get our meeting started. So welcome, good morning to everyone wherever you are. We are first time with our webinar for our Cash Monthly Update meeting. So if you will bear with me just a little bit as we move through. I'm not quite sure how we want to do this, but welcome first time attendees and new members. And maybe if in the chat box you have a second and maybe write your name and I'll just a little bit about you all, who you are and what firm you're with, and just maybe a little fun here and get that going. Thank you. Oh, you're up, Sam. Sam, are you a first-time attendee? No. Oh, all right. We've got a couple coming in. Good morning, all. We got tons coming in. So let's see. Who was our first-time attendee? Who was our first-time attendee that I saw up here? All right. I see Kristen Jimenez from McFarland USD. So welcome. I see a few more here. Joanne, you've been around here before. You're great. Anna, good morning. Great. Anna, good morning. Let's see. I see Arturo is here from Kitchell. Good morning. I've got, wow, my chat box. I'm going to have to get that going up. So let's see. All of us here. All right. We've got Rob Murray here with King. All right. We've got Rob Murray here with King Consulting. Welcome. We've got Elizabeth here from Norwalk. We've got Melanie here from Long Beach. We've got Jesse De La Cruz from Till & Coil here. Oh, great. All right. We've got Lord Probert here. First-time attendee from AFE Sports. Welcome. I see Tamara. I see Mackenzie. All right. Well, I tell you what. Let's go ahead. Give me a chance on here to. All right, let's go on and we'll start with our. There we go. Thank you. All right, so let's get started with our PowerPoint here. Caitlin, if you'll move us on to the next one. Let's see. A page with resource information for state agencies, webinar content, news, articles, and more. If you haven't had a chance to go there, please take a few minutes after the monthly meeting and visit it. It has everything on it from our webinars that we've had and all the questions that were given during the webinars and the answers to them that we've been able to put together. So it's a really good resource page. It also lets you know governor's orders, information, everything else going on. So it's a great place to stop and take a look at. All right, let's see. So we've got our upcoming webinar events. Did we go too far on that? I think so. Let's see. All right, no, I guess we didn't. There, great, thank you. All right, upcoming webinar events. We've had one yesterday, which was planning for healthy indoor air quality and energy savings through scheduled maintenance. Yesterday was a big hit, and the second part of that is coming on this Friday, and that will be from 10 a.m. to 12:15, and we're going to have our agencies on there from the California Energy Commission and a few other people that will be on there. And we're going to be talking about our energy savings on tomorrow's one. So it was very nice, very well attended yesterday. Talked a lot about how we're going to sanitize. A lot of discussion on what will schools look like when they're back in session. And we think that when we return, there's going to be a lot of concerns about social distancing with our students and how we're ensuring that parents feel confident that their students are going to be in. So as you know, our web events, we call them web shops, are replacing our monthly workshops. And it is one of those that I think that we still find a great need for in making sure that we're getting out the best information to all of our members that we can.
To the small number of remaining conferees, this conference will be broken down in 5 minutes. Enter *1 to cancel and continue the conference.
I'm not quite sure what that was there, but that was interesting. I heard that before. So tomorrow we've got our webinar, which is Construction Climate under the Governor's Orders. So please, if you get a chance, go on the website and register, and then Sam will send you a link that will allow you to enter into the webinar, which will be should be an interesting one to talk about. We've got some great speakers on that as well. Let's go on to our next slide. Great speakers on that as well. Let's go on to our next slide. All right, we are at our, we've got our first update here. We've got Ida Clare with the Division of State Architect. And if I could get Ida, if you want to hit your video. Due
to the small number of remaining conferees, this conference will be broken down in 4 minutes. Enter *1 to cancel and continue the conference.
Not sure how to think about that.
Conference.
Not sure how to think about that, but maybe I have only 4 minutes. Just enough. Who knows? Thanks for inviting me, Julie. Good to see you on video. Everyone else on the list and thanks for inviting me today. A little bit update about DSA. We are open, operational. We have about 95% of our staff is teleworking. We are performing We are performing all our work electronically, including remote back checks and over-the-counters. Our offices are physically close to visitors, so we do have some staff choosing to telework in them, and
due to the small number of remaining conferees, this conference will be broken down in 3 minutes. Enter *1 to cancel and continue the conference.
Apologize for that. We are operational now. You should be emailing your lead plan reviewer or the supervisor to communicate, and they will communicate with you. Remote back check is going surprisingly well, considering we were able to transition to remote back check in a week. Of course, there is some issues due to connectivity in the home environment. We're working effectively.
Due to the small number of remaining conferees, this conference will be broken down in 2 minutes. Enter *1 to cancel and continue the conference.
So I'm assuming everyone can hear that comment because I don't want to talk over that person. If someone can chat, let me know if that's not the case. I want to talk over that person. If someone can chat, let me know if that's not the case, and I'll just keep going and talk over that warning that's coming through on the web. So we have the workload that we have coming in. We had a slow start to our year all the way through. April. We have about $300 million of construction that was submitted for review in April, and May is looking quite busy at almost $700 million of construction. And of course, we're scheduled $100 million of construction. And of course, we're scheduling into June right now, so we're happy to see it pick up, especially considering the environment that we're in with COVID and its uncertainties. So that part's encouraging for us.
Due to the small number of remaining conferees, this conference will be broken down in 1 minute. Enter *1 to cancel and continue the conference.
So a little bit about what else is going on at DSA. We are in the middle of our rulemaking cycle. The public comment is open for access compliance and for Cal Green. So in order to reach the comment periods, if you are subscribed to DSA, you should have received those notices. But just remind you to go either to the DSA, this will take you to the Building Standards Commission website. Once on the Building Standards Commission website, you will hit the rulemaking tab that's provided at the big blue bar on the top. Go to Intervening Code Adoption Cycle 2019 and then 2019 Public Comments, and you'll find the links, and it is between April 3rd and May 18th. Cal Green, which is between April 10th and May 26th. And the structural safety will begin this Friday and end on June 8th. So just alerting you, encouraging you to read the pending regulations so that you will know. For access compliance, it's clarification on a lot of public housing requirements and also for detectable warnings, scoping for detectable warnings. For green, Cal Green, our big item is increasing electric vehicle charging from 6% to 10% for new parking areas, and addition to existing parking areas. And I am not sure of the highlights for structural, but they will be posted on Friday as the 45-day comment period starts this Friday. One thing that we're really happy to launch, first I want to say Happy Earth Day, and with that intro, I'm going to let you know that today we're launching our small school district cohort. We're calling it a small school district cohort. We're calling it a small school district cohort, even though there's many can apply. We're going to focus on trying to get small school districts to participate in the cohort, but it is our Zero Net Energy support. And so you will receive support. And so you will receive today a SurveyMonkey application that indicates your interest in participating in this cohort with New Buildings Institute. A little bit, eligibility requirements. It's a public school district in California. Has to be prioritized for small or underserved districts. It's for school districts who are interested in developing a roadmap to zero net energy over time. And school districts need to commit to being active participants in a monthly meeting of the cohort. What you will receive from participating in the cohort is challenges and lessons learned. Monthly cohort calls around topics that are customized with the goal of highlighting the process to achieve zero net energy and zero carbon. You'll get free participation in national webinars, template materials, roadmaps, and resources to assist districts in establishing Z&E goals, mentoring in the development of an implementable plan to get to zero net energy over time. Technical guidance and professional analysis of energy performance benchmarking data, assistance in setting energy use intensity targets customized for your district facilities, and use intensity targets customized for your district facilities. And our goal is to nurture and develop school district champions to institutionalize these policies and plans. And so what we ask from you in filling out the application for participation is that you're willing to identify and support a sustainability champion who participates. That sustainability champion needs to have access to key decision makers, school administration, school board, faculty and students, and access to facility data and information. The sustainability champion must commit to 9 cohort calls over the course of the year. They will occur to preparing a roadmap to identify the steps to be taken to get to their district to Z&E over time. So we're really excited for the launch of this program today on Earth Day and looking forward to receiving the applications. If you have any questions, you're always welcome to reach out to me, and we will assist you with any class. So we're very, very excited for that. Other than that, that's pretty much the extent of my information. And I guess, how are we questions. How do we address questions?
Well, you know what? Let's go ahead, and if people have some questions, I think they can go ahead and type them in the chat box. And what we'll do is we'll gather those all together, and then we'll kind of sort them out and send them to you. And then we'll give a little answer, and then send it back out in. Our Cash Weekly newsletter update or something.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Julie, and thanks for inviting me to address the group. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being in our first kickoff of our web monthly meeting, and obviously we weren't thrown off the.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone hit that darn *1 finally. So.
All right. Thanks.
All right, great, Heidi. Thank you so much.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye. Next up, you've got our state agency update with our California Department of Education. We've got Fred Yeager and George Garcia with presenting an update. So, Fred and George, if you can start your video, that would be great.
I think I did, so you can hear me? Yeah. Okay.
I can hear you.
Green Ribbon Awards. So CDE is open. We do still have people physically in the office. We keep our unit down to 2 or 3 people a day for a few short hours a week to pick up stuff, grab stuff. I go in and sign stuff just to keep all the paperwork moving. Using the use of bots for applications, and I was just looking at our incoming workload, and I think about 90% of the stuff did come in via bots over the past month or so. So that's good. That helps all of us kind of keep track of stuff and move stuff around a little bit easier. But if something special comes up, move stuff around a little bit easier. But if something special comes up where a box isn't available, get in contact with your assigned field rep and work out a way to submit the information. As you can imagine, sometimes if you use the mail, it sits in the person who does the mail, but they're only in on Tuesdays. Sometimes if you use the mail, it sits in the person who does the mail, but they're only in on Tuesdays from 8 to 10, and then it goes to somebody who isn't in again until the following Monday. So if it's hard copy, it's a little bit more, it takes a little bit more hand-holding and management of the paperwork. So keep in touch with it keeps moving, and we know who has the ball at each time. So, and if any other questions come up, you can give me a call or an email, and we'll figure something else out. Did post last week the round 6 CTE funding. We did receive 281 applications. 182 of those received a passing score of 105, and those are the ones posted on our webpage. The top categories are pretty familiar from last cycle, ag being the top. Categories are pretty familiar from last cycle, ag being the top, with arts and media and health tied for second, and or ag, architecture and engineering and health and tied for second, and arts media tied for in third place. So, and arts media tied for in third place. So, look at those, and you can submit a passing score from any cycle, 4 or 5, in submitting to OPSC. So when you look at that list of those who are 105 and above, there are also many applications that have already been submitted directly to OPSC using a Cycle 4 or Cycle 5 letter, and maybe still some out there that will submit a qualifying letter from other rounds. So let's see. I think that's give us an update on Green Ribbon.
Okay, so let's see if I can get, I'm on. Can you hear me? Okay, great. All right, good morning and happy 50th anniversary of Earth Day. All right, good morning and happy 50th anniversary of Earth Day. I have my full family in green or some kind of Earth Day related item, as I'm sure many of you do too. So I am able to make the great announcement that we have announced our Green Ribbon that we have announced our Green Ribbon award recipients, honorees for all this hard work they've done. And we have, I think we had a total of 32 this year, which is higher than we've ever had before. And I hope and expect that it will continue to grow. The award recognizes achievement in both sustainability efforts at school sites, within the school site, on the site itself, and then within the people that are there, with environmental literacy and making students aware of the world and the environment around them. So we were able to nominate 5 what we call Green Achievers, which are highest achieving applicants for a federal nomination, and they all were confirmed today, actually about half an hour ago. They were confirmed in all of our website and through press releases that's being announced. And in a time where many people are at home and looking for something to be excited about, this is a great thing to be excited about. And there's a lot of good work that these folks have done, a lot in regards to their ability to see the opportunities to reduce waste, water use, energy use within their school sites. And when you have so many schools throughout the state and throughout the nation, this is a great way to be an impetus or like a spark in communities to start this effort. Very low comes more and more aware, more and more available. So I'd like to read over our applicants. You may know some of them as your work could be with them or near them. There are 32, so bear with me. I'll try to make sure that I go through these quickly. And I'll have Alameda Unified, Anderson W. Clark Magnet and Glendale Unified, Carmel Unified as a district got a District Sustainability Award, Creston Elementary at Atascadero Unified, Woodside Priority is our private school nominee this year, and those are our 5 Green Achievers. They were the highest achieving this year, and their achievements can be seen on our website on, I guess I can share in the link or in the chat how to see all of their extended applications and achievements, so you can read on them more. Our next several are going to be gold. Our gold achievement is 75% or above on their application, which is not an easy application. It is very in-depth and has many different areas and opportunities for achievement. So this is not a very easy award, but it is one that schools find important. So these are gold achievers. Altamont Creek Elementary out of Livermore Valley Joint Unified. Jefferson Elementary. We had 2 Jefferson Elementaries this year. Jefferson Elementary out of Redondo Beach and Jefferson Elementary out of Carlsbad Unified. The next three are district awards: Claremont Unified, Temecula Valley Unified, Rialto Unified. And then we have Georgia Morris Elementary out of Rialto Unified. Atascadero Unified has got a district award. So did San Benito Elementary, which is an Atascadero Unified. Francis Parker School, which is a private school out of San Diego. Sonoma County Day School, also a private school in Sonoma. St. Martin Tours Academy in San Diego. Nueva School in San Mateo. And then our Silver Award recipients are McKinley Elementary in Bakersfield City, Benjamin Franklin Elementary out of Glendale Unified, Golden View Elementary out of Ocean View, Mountain View High out of San Jacinto Unified, Isabel Barnett Elementary out of Temecula Valley Unified, Susan Lavorna Elementary out of Temecula Valley Unified, Margarita Middle out of Temecula Valley Unified. Sacramento City got a Silver Award as a district award. Rialto Middle, Santa Barbara Senior High School out of Santa Barbara Unified. Marin Montessori School in Marin, which is a private school. And then our bronze recipients are Patricia Dreisler Continuation High out of Redondo Beach Unified, Catello High out of Anaheim Unified, And thank you for listening to all these recipients are usually reapplying as they climb the ranks in these different levels of achievement to try to find ultimate sustainability in their schools. So it's exciting today to celebrate on the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, and I wish all these schools continued sustainability and really commend their efforts. Thank you.
George, that was great. What a perfect day to actually be able to announce those. I mean, that was almost like you planned it. Almost like we planned it. All right, great.
Thank you.
Next up, we've got the Office of Public School Construction. And we've got Lisa Silverman with us. So, Lisa, come on in. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you? The opportunity to check in with you all, and this is all new to us. So, at least not a first board meeting, but definitely an opportunity to give you an update. So I know there's been a lot going on, just like Ida said, and just to echo what Fred said as well. We're not accepting meetings, but we just have core essential staff. Just to know that are rotating in and out, and folks are, I have about 98%, if not higher, of my workforce teleworking. So, and thank goodness for the opportunity, because our work is still getting done. So that's really why it was so important for us to, continue to have our board meeting today related to the consent agenda. So although it will be a short meeting, which is awesome for approvals, and it's really a catalyst to our mission, and we just wanted to share that. That's an important role for us and an important role for you. So I'm not sure, do you want me to just keep rolling on, Nancy?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, so we wanted to just highlight. Part of the consent agenda. We have about $63 million in project approvals in the consent agenda, which is great news. So that's 33 projects. We actually have a few, RCIs that are also going through that process as well. But as you know, last month the board took action on a number of different emergency regulations, and so we thought it was really important to highlight some of those updates today with the board. So the governor's goal in the budget for 1920 for the $1.5 billion, has that changed? And the answer is no. We actually hit that milestone since we actually are about 6 months ahead as a result of the priority to funding certification. We were actually working ahead of time prior to the governor. The $1.5 billion in project approvals went through board approval. So in essence, we did hit the timeline that made those projects eligible for the spring bond sales. So, and I'll touch on that topic too. So we will hit the $1.5 billion in apportionments this year, which is great news for all you guys. The other thing I wanted to share was the Career Tech Education program. I know the board asked us to review everything that we have going on with extensions in the program deadline. So, we took action on that as a result. So the normal deadline for Career Tech Education to submit your funding application would have been April 6th. We actually sent an announcement out to all school districts, and we have it posted on our website, that the deadline has been extended to June 30th of 2020. So again, we want to give folks ample time, although I know there were some folks coming in with the last minute with some actually hard mail copies of hard applications, but we actually have so far 188 applications that have filed electronically. I was trying to figure out why is that different than the 182 that just recently got scored. Well, those projects that actually had a high score in prior rounds, they had the opportunity to submit an application early, and so they have the ability to again, to apply for the program funds without having to request or reapply for a grant review at CDE. So again, it's going to be a very competitive process for the $250 million. So again, we're hoping that the June 30th deadline will provide districts an opportunity to, again, submit their applications, especially of those who have actually can't submit their applications on a timely basis. So again, we're happy to extend that to June 30th. The other thing I wanted to address was the priority funding as well. I know we actually addressed this issue as well. The normal priority funding process starts actually in May, and it actually was going to close on June 11th. But we just talking about what opportunities we have, and we know some folks are going to have some slowdowns at the district level and may not have an opportunity to get to their records, or their consultants may have some challenges as well. So we funding certification, that deadline, instead of being June 11th, has been extended to August 28th of 2020. And so that's great news. And how does that impact you and our goals to get these projects for board approval and the fall bond sale? So we're going to extend everything. For those folks who have challenges during our normal processing timelines, and there's folks that aren't having challenges, but we want to be, accommodating to that. So we figure we have an opportunity to catch up with processing for those folks that may encounter some delays in actually submitting a project for granting, for those folks that may encounter some delays in actually submitting a project for grant approval and board take action. So those timelines, again, any project that's approved at the August board, up into the August board, will actually have an opportunity to submit for the certification. August board will actually have an opportunity to submit for the certification round for the fall bond. And that's not the normal process, we understand, but again, it gives us an opportunity to catch up, the districts to catch up with submitting their funding applications, and we can process it to the board, but that won't impact the certification for a fall bond. So you're probably figuring out, well, how does that going to work? So what we're going to do is have some assumptions and share those assumptions with Department of Finance and the Treasurer's Office to say any projects that we're processing down the pipeline that we will assume that will go to an August board is part of the ability to submit a certification for our estimates for a fall bond sale. But that still remains that the issue is if you do get your project funded at the board or have an unfunded approval, you still need to submit a certification. Certification deadlines are important, so you have to submit your certification. Last month that we had a March bond sale, so there was actually a subsequent bond sale as well in April, and we currently have $785 million that actually provides certifications for this bond sale, the spring bond sale, and as a result, March and in April, we will actually be bringing forward for board action in May a full apportionment for these projects. So all projects will be covered for the $785 million, and those will be produced and for board action at the May estate allocation board. Produced and for board action at the May estate allocation board. With that, those are the updates. I do want to share some updates as well. I know we actually have an online process as far as deadlines and extensions. We actually have an easy tool online. Deadlines and extensions. We actually have an easy tool online. So if you are a district that are having challenges with committing to the timelines related to your funding application or any deadlines we have related to substantial progress or expenditure reports, you name it, you have the ability to go on our website, or expenditure reports, you name it, you have the ability to go on our website to request that extension electronically. It's a good tool. It's very easy to use. And then in a matter of 5 days, we will get back to you and let you know whether or not your extension has been provided and approved. And so far, we've got 23 extension requests and provided and approved. And so far, we've got 23 extension requests. And it seems like a pattern of same districts, which is, and we understand the challenges you're having So no harm, no foul. We want to work with you to make sure that you are not shortchanged from your project or any deadlines that we have. So again, it's site. So please use it. And again, we're here to help. I'm hoping that you all are getting all the customer service that you deserve during this time period, and you're actually reaching our staff. If not, send me an email because I will respond to you. I answer the calls. I check the mail. I do the mail too when I'm the only one in the office, and we're happy to help. Please reach out to us anytime, and we can see what we can do to accommodate you. With that, I'll leave it up to you to Julie.
All right, Lisa, thank you so much. It's interesting how we're using our technology to kind of move things around a bit more.
Yeah, and it's working, and I'm really pleased at the transition of our folks in this telework environment. And again, it was really important for us to continue with our board meeting, even though the challenges have been there for the last several weeks. But it's important to show districts that we're here, we're active.
All right, well, great. Well, Lisa, thank you so much. All right, next up, we've got as you can see on the screen, we've got Rebecca Curley there. We've got Nancy Perez Espinoza, and we're looking for Ian Padilla somewhere who will be providing our current legislative and regulatory issues. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, Julie. I'm going to kick it off today with a bit of a budget update to do the School Energy Coalition update. So what's going on in budget world? Well, it's a brave new world. We're living with facts changing every single day, just like everything else in this pandemic. So where we are now is the Department of Finance is saying, and they have a May revision. Originally, we thought that might be late, but that is a constitutional deadline, so they are committed to meeting it. From there, what is a little bit up in the air is what the process will be for the legislature's review and consideration of the budget. There will be hearings, but whether they will somehow socially distanced but in person is a bit up in the air. The Senate did pass a rule change before they adjourned last month to allow them to vote remotely. The Assembly did not. So those are some factors that we are looking at. Both the Assembly and Senate budget committees have met in the last week or two to start considering not necessarily a May revision or a budget, but really to start assessing the economic climate and the fiscal impact of the pandemic emergency. With respect to CASH's budget priorities, like everyone else's, they have changed since we were in a position to respond to the January proposed budget, which is essentially set aside for now. The administration has indicated that they will be pursuing what they're calling a workload budget, which is akin to what they call a continuing resolution at the federal level. Essentially, the major changes in the budget aren't happening right now in the May to June period. Those will be proposed later. The administration will show us in the May revision that they want to pass a budget as they would normally, but put some triggers in there that would create some flexibility once they have more updated fiscal information about the looming economic recession. So CASH's priorities at this point and going forward are to advocate for Prop 51 apportionments, which is why we are so pleased and thankful that the OPSC and the State Allocation Board are committed to meeting the governor's targets of $5 billion per year. Not only is that, as you all know, very much needed in our sector by our students and the people that we serve, but is also very good economic stimulus and something that has been done before on the part of the state to help get us out of a recession. Priority number 2 for us is advocating for the one-time resources that local educational agencies need now to respond to the crisis. So those are things like one-time money for sanitation and deep cleaning, which could be FEMA reimbursable or reimbursable through some other federal source. Increasing access to technology, or reimbursable through some other federal source. Increasing access to technology, because as I think we mentioned last month, if the site of instruction becomes home, then guess what? Connectivity becomes a school facilities issue in our perspective. Another issue that we're going to raise in budget deliberations is funding to reduce high-touch areas. So looking towards how we reopen schools and how we reopen them safely, not knowing exactly when that's going to be, but obviously wanting that to be as soon as possible. So things like installing more automatic soap dispensers, hand sanitizers, things like that to reduce contact in high-touch areas. And that is the extent of my budget update. So as far as we know right now, we're expecting a May revision and the legislature to approve an on-time. I'm going to pass it to my colleague Rebecca, and I'll be back with an update on the School Energy Coalition.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Nancy. It's actually nice to see the Capitol up on the screen because we haven't seen that building in person in, 5 weeks now? So the legislature, 5 weeks now? So the legislature is planning to come back to continue their work on May 4th, though I think there's a lot of conversation about whether or not they'll actually hit that target date. They're looking at other options for being able to continue their work. And when they do come back, they're trying to think about how they will be able to enforce social distancing requirements. So right now we're used to being in the thick of committee hearings and working hard on all of our legislative advocacy, but the legislature is even thinking about things like, well, maybe they'll designate one room, their largest room, for committee hearings so that they can enforce social distancing, and then do floor sessions elsewhere, remotely. They're trying to figure that out. They are also trying to figure out how to limit that will likely be immediate urgent needs. So we're expecting there to be some kind of a cap or a limitation on the bills that members are able to bring forward, but we don't have any definitive guidance yet on what that will look like. It could be a cap on the number of bills. It could be a topic limitation, disaster response, COVID-19 response, a homelessness and housing, or a sunset-related bill that it likely isn't going to move forward this year. So what that means is that we're trying to figure out what will happen with all of the bills that were introduced in January. And we've already heard a number of those have been pulled from likely consideration this year voluntarily by members who are acknowledging the need to really focus on those top priorities. But not all bills have been pulled yet if they're not one of those top priorities. So we did want to talk to you a little bit today about some of the bills not one of those top priorities. So we did want to talk to you a little bit today about some of the bills that were introduced that may or may not still be moving. I've got a few, and I know during the Maintenance Network update, Ian will provide you updates on a couple. The first I wanted to mention is AB 2186 Grayson. This is a bill related to the 5%. First I wanted to mention is AB 2186 Grayson. This is a bill related to the 5% retention requirement. And it is a bill that Cash did oppose, sponsored by Transportation California. The author himself is a general contractor by trade. What the bill would do is agency may not withhold more than 5% of the contract price. We were also concerned about possible effects on substantially complex projects, even though they're not contemplated in this section of the law. So there was some ambiguity about the relationship between this bill and the other section of law that relates to public agencies as well as Cash did oppose this, and this is one of the bills that the author has voluntarily decided not to move forward this year, partially due to that opposition. Another bill that I want to mention is one that may still be moving forward. We've not heard that this has been pulled and the sponsor is still working on it. It's something that Cash is supporting. So this is AB 21 by Assemblymember O'Donnell. It's a bill related to the design build authorization for K-12 school districts. And it's just providing another option for that type of procurement, updating to allow for an open book process, which is similar to a progressive design build approach, which is kind of gaining popularity in some of the design build projects. So this would allow you to, like in regular design build projects. So this would allow you to, like in regular design build, select your team using a best value procurement option and then progressing towards the final contract price a little bit later in the design process. The idea here is to try and better match the contract price with actual construction costs as you get closer to actually executing the project. So because this is an additional flexibility and an option, Cash is supporting that. And then the last one that I wanted to mention is one that's sort of in the basket of philosophical statements, and this is a bill that Assemblymember O'Donnell did introduce in the wake of Prop 13. It's AB 2088, and what that bill does is it proposes to retire the number 13 for use in statewide measures. So again, the threshold for being a critical bill this year, but we want to support the statement that Assemblymember O'Donnell is making in introducing that bill. And if you've got any questions about these or other bills, go ahead and put those in the chat box, and if we're not able to get to them today, we'll certainly follow up. I wanted to pivot a little bit and talk about the COVID-19. The governor and the members of the legislature kind of come together and try and provide some policy guidance on COVID-19. We know that we're all overwhelmed by the amount of guidance and information from the federal level, state, local, everything that we've got swirling around us at the policy level. And then I know Ian's going to talk a little bit more about this as well from the M&O perspective. There was a press conference recently where the governor talked about his framework for lifting the stay-at-home order. And as part of that, he did acknowledge that we've had significant healthcare system because of the stay-at-home order and the response to COVID-19. So what he did is he sort of laid out a roadmap for factors and indicators that we need to achieve in order to modify the stay-at-home order. I think the caveat here is that we do not know what the details of these things look like sufficiently in order to check those boxes and allow the governor and policymakers to feel comfortable with adjusting the stay-at-home order at the state level. But one that you should be aware of that the governor mentioned is this concept of supporting physical distancing at both schools and businesses. And in the press conference, the governor talked about this in the terms of redrawing floor plans. So this certainly perked up our ears living in the school world and thinking about what that might mean. He also talked about making sure that we've got supplies to make sure that our workforce at schools is safe, and then that we've got supplies to make sure that our workforce at schools is safe, and then at businesses, customers are safe. And in the press conference, the governor mentioned some examples of what this could look like. So, for example, he said possibly staggering the times that kids come in and wait, or staggering their participation in activities like PE and recess. It is far too soon to know what this might mean for us, and actually responding to this indicator that was brought forward by the governor. But we are closely watching his activities and how the legislature and policymakers are responding. And we will certainly continue to keep you updated through our webinars and our communications that we're continuing to send out during all of this. We know that you all, like Nancy mentioned, and like Ian will talk about, are thinking about ways to respond, minimize high touch surfaces, ensure ventilation, and these types of things. And so we're going to continue to work on this. Of folks who are leaders in California, the task force has 80 members. It's chaired by Ann O'Leary, who is the governor's chief of staff, and by Tom Steyer. And they're going to be working on recommendations in order to develop a plan that works for all Californians to focus, going to be making sure that we reach out to these folks and stay informed about their conversations. And then two quick last things to wrap up on this. The legislature has certainly not forgotten their role in oversight of implementation and what the administration and the governor are working on. So they just held their first two hearings since the stay-at-home order went into place this past week. Those were budget hearings to provide oversight on how the administration has been spending federal and state money for COVID-19. Last thing that I want to mention is we are watching at the federal level as well. There, what the feds do, as Nancy mentioned, certainly impacts what we do at the state from a budget standpoint. And there is one program that we're watching, and thank you to our cash board member John Barrissey for his leadership and work on this and making sure that we're informed about this. It's a program that has come out of the CARES Act. Called the Municipal Liquidity Facility Program. It will provide up to $500 billion, that's billion with a B, in cash flow lending to states for short-term loans. It has facilities in the name, but they'll go to states, large cities, and large counties. Those are the eligible entities. So they could potentially, if they set up a program, pass the loans through to our school districts. The permitted uses for these funds are payment of principal and interest. I'm all working on here. And also the cash flow effect from income tax deferrals and increased expenses related to COVID-19. We're still waiting for more information from the feds on things like rates and terms and what the details of this program would look like. And if schools are able to access any of this money, it would likely require some kind of a state program in order for us to apply to that program and access that money. But it's an interesting opportunity, and we're going to continue to monitor that one as well. And with that, I am looking at chat box and the design build.
So I'm going to pick it back up with an update on behalf of the School Energy Coalition. And thank you to Tom Pace for bringing to our attention an issue with respect to Prop 39 deadlines. This is Prop 39, the Clean Energy Jobs Act deadlines. This is Prop 39, the Clean Energy Jobs Act, not the earlier one. There is a June 30th deadline for project completion, and we got in touch with the Energy Commission, and they have agendized discussion of an extension of that deadline at their May 13th meeting. And the reason for that is that we are seeing some supply chain issues and other delays related to social distancing requirements. I think some difficulty determining what is and isn't an essential project, things of that nature. So folks in the field have communicated to us that they are having some delays related to those issues. So we're grateful that the California Energy Commission is taking that into consideration, and we hope that they will grant some flexibility along the lines of what we've seen at the OPSC and State Allocation Board. To be involved with what was previously AB 3021 by Mr. Ting, which would have provided some resources from the state budget for schools to complete more solar and storage projects. We are switching tactics a little bit in that Mr. Ting remains committed, but the ask is changing a little bit. It will need to be a smaller amount of money. It will be a budget request as opposed to a bill. And the idea is that this reduced amount of money will serve as a technical assistance grant. So that LEAs can access programs that we hope are going to be part of the federal stimulus or pandemic response legislation. We're thinking maybe Stimulus Bill 4, Stimulus Bill 5, Stimulus Bill 4, Stimulus Bill 5. These are the issues that are coming up are being dealt with in waves, and the federal government is very much aware of the need to address resilience. Ideas like solar are not super popular in this administration, but they do understand the need for resilience. So we are also working on the federal front to build a coalition to support the inclusion of this resilience funding for local educational agencies. On both of those, the federal and the state effort, we're working with the California Solar and Storage officials and others. So those are the priorities for the School Energy Coalition. And with that, I believe I am tossing it to Ian. Is that who is next?
Actually,
Sorry, Dave.
that's all right. Dave, are you there?
No problem. I shouldn't have any feedback on this, I hope. Californians for School Facilities. We had been planning a end of June, and we're still holding the date. Lobbying time in D.C. It appears that Stimulus 4 or Stimulus 5 will be infrastructure, and we're working to include within that infrastructure proposal funding for school facilities, both grants and tax credit facilities, both grants and tax credit bonds, similar to the qualified zone academy bonds and the qualified school construction bonds that were part of the stimulus package in 2009. We are doing most of this by email. Our lobbyist back in D.C., Bob Canavan, has been very involved. So we think there's a possibility. Speaker Pelosi has said schools will be part of any infrastructure package. She is a very good negotiator. Good to have her on our side. We're not sure when infrastructure and Stimulus 4 will be on the table, but it appears that something the president wants, something that a number of Republicans want, and something the Speaker and Democrats in the House want. The cash workshop, April 30th, to talk about what's happening on the federal level. And if you're able to log on to that, it's one of the web shops. I hope you'll be able to listen in.
Right. Ian, yay.
All right.
Here you are. We've got
Thank
to
you
see
very
a couple
much.
times,
Yes.
but
Sorry for that little confusion. That's obviously the virtual aspect. But what all jokes aside, one of the things we're trying to do is have a one of the things we're trying to do is have a piece just for the maintenance network during these updates. So we just put me under here. So thank you, Julie. I will be brief. I know we're getting close to our closing time. I did want to let you know basically what we're doing when the maintenance network. Of course, there's not a huge difference between this and the regular activities of cash. Tom Duffy and I, others are working very closely on these things. We know what everyone is concerned about. But a couple of things closely on these things, we know what everyone is concerned about. But a couple of things that the maintenance network is focusing on, and I think they're pretty intuitive pieces. One is the cleaning and disinfecting aspects of this, which is significant. It's been mentioned many times in terms of whenever folks are able to go back. Significant. It's been mentioned many times in terms of whenever folks are able to go back. That will be probably among the first things that will need to be addressed. There's a lot of fluidity in the whole situation, but the maintenance network is definitely focused on making sure that there are resources for you. We've done a lot of trainings, and a lot of it has had to involves maintenance and operations. So look for more of that going forward from the maintenance network. More resources. Again, Nancy pointed out caches or Julie resources on our webpage. So we're doing more and more of that, and more is to come. I would recommend that the Healthy Schools Act, we know about it in terms of pest management, but it is also a resource during these times. Again, it's the Department of Pesticide Regulation, DPR, and so this is there's a lot more than you might imagine, and it's more pertinent to M&O issues. So definitely recommend that. The other piece is a lot has been talked about these workshops, web shops that we're doing. We just did one yesterday on indoor air quality, ventilation pieces, and relevant in the COVID-19 and general disaster preparedness concern era. So we thought it was very good. Some of the takeaways we thought were important. Indoor air quality is key, not only for health, but also for academic performance. And there was a lot of talk health, but also for academic performance. And there was a lot of talk about that. There's many levels to this. Is it in the installation? Is it the equipment? Certainly we know there's M&O pieces, and then the monitoring. So there's a lot to look at in terms of doing this. To state the obvious, and the reason a lot to look at in terms of doing this. To state the obvious, and the reason the M&O network is involved, maintenance and operation are very key to this. We've heard from 2004, we heard about the studies about indoor air quality in portable classrooms. So since then, this has been a difference. Here is the focus is on much more on new classrooms and ventilation rates rather than the thermal aspects. Energy efficiency and indoor air quality, particularly folks do those. There's some synergies there in terms of funding. There is more use of information to come by us and others. I will close my presentation here with a legislative update, and that was Assemblyman O'Donnell introduced AB 2162, and it had to do with this indoor air quality issue. It was basically an air quality issue. It was basically a vehicle should anything come together on this. We had some initial stakeholder meetings about that, but of course the COVID-19 situation has engulfed everything else as it should. But we think there are some relevancies there, and we're going to continue else as it should. But we think there are some relevancies there, and we're going to continue to work with other stakeholders. But the stakeholders so far have been basically schools, labor, the health folks, state agencies, and the academic community. So it's pretty wide, pretty significant. So we will continue to follow up on this and give trainings on this. We think there's a lot of pieces under here, particularly, and I'll leave with this, the commissioning, the retro commissioning, and the acceptance testing pieces here that we're talking about are very significant. And there's also a significant, if you are able to participate on the second part of our web shop on Friday, that is sponsored by SEC and will get more into the energy efficiency aspects of these issues. So thank you very much.
That was great. All right, next up, we've got Jeff Becker, our CASH Vice Chair, and he's with the Fresno County Superintendent of Schools Office. Jeff, what's going on with this 42nd conference?
Well, Julie, we've got some big news on the annual conference. Earlier this has decided to move the 2021 conference to Palm Springs. And our new dates for that are March 1st through 3rd of 2021, and that's reflected in the slide on the screen. So planning is already well underway for the conference, and we're utilizing the feedback from this year in Long Beach to fine-tune and improve the experience for our attendees. So if you are interested in volunteering or have topics in mind that you would like the planning committee to consider, please go to the CASH website to the annual conference page. Please go to the CASH website to the annual conference page. There you'll find a couple of surveys, one to volunteer and the second to suggest topics for consideration. And we'd love to hear from our membership on that to help us make the 2021 conference the best ever. And the call for education session proposals and speakers will be emailed to all members next month. So again, a lot of work already taking place for 2021, again in Palm Springs. So make sure that you note that. Meeting of the Planning Committee will be held on May 27th, using whichever method will be appropriate for where we're at that time. So Julie, I will kick it back over to you now.
Thanks, Jeff. Exciting news. It's going to be interesting. We got lots of things that we're learning and changing, and we can only just keep improving and making sure that we get information out to all of our members and everything. So with that, you'll see we've got our job exchange up. So if you have an upcoming RFP, please utilize the CASH Professional Opportunities Job Board to reach a wider network, and it's also a very safe network now for all of us and our audience. CASH members can log into the CASH website and post their job and RFQs there. So it's a great resource to use if you haven't tried it before. And find people to fill positions is really important right now. I don't know about you, but I don't ever remember being busier or having that much more going on. It's crazy. Some days we just try and take a breath and try and keep up with it at our office here. So all right. So with that, I do want to mention also to check your inbox. The CASH Weekly Update email newsletter is there on a weekly basis, and you're going to see a summary of the latest news, events, workshops, or our web shops, as we call them. Now. Information on the conferences, our webinars, and more professional opportunities. So take a look at that. I know you get a lot of stuff in your inbox, but it does have some interesting information. So mark your calendar for our next CASH web day. I'm pretty sure that we will probably be meeting just like this on Wednesday, May 27th. And we'll keep fine-tuning our broadcasting abilities and our things that we do, and really appreciate everyone's time here. And we'll try and get any questions you have, we'll try and get those posted to the CASH website with answers for you. So with that, I'll go ahead and sign off and wish you all health and safety. And as I've said before, I continue to be amazed and grateful at the resilience. And dedication and innovation of our school industry professionals that are here. We really show with this that schools are the heart of every community and how important we are, and that we keep our buildings functioning. We keep funding going so we can make sure that our facilities are clean and they're a safe place to be for our students and teachers. So I appreciate everyone being here on the monthly meeting. Different things going on. It's on a weekly basis to have our webinars out. So look for those. I think it's a great place for information. And with that, I'll go ahead and sign off and say thank you again to everyone, our M&O guys out there on the front line. How great are they in there making sure that. We'll see you all next month. Take